Dearest gentle viewer, it is my extreme pleasure to invite you to promenade with us on this season's most exclusive event, Season 4 of Bridgerton. So please go and get your libations, your nibbles, sit back and discuss with us as we attempt to be more.
Close the doors, walk across the corridor. We got something to show you. Media is our repertoire.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Be More. We, as you saw from the intro, are going to get deep into the woods of Bridgerton and how it can relate to making video, live streams, and just your business in general. But it's not just me, dearest gentle viewers. I also have the wonderful Shawana Kennedy of the Atlanta Kennedys.
Hello, Dr. Tachi, and hello, dear viewers. I'm excited that today we're going to dive in, not for scandal, but for strategy and what that looks like for who? You. Yes, let's get into it.
Oh, not for scandal, but for strategy. Wow, I love that. You see why I invite you here all the time? Do you see why I invite you now? How are you, darling? How are you?
I'm wonderful. I brought a spot of tea.
Oh, let us toast to business lessons before we continue.
Cheers.
Cheers. Excellent, indeed. Okay, so what we're talking about today, and now I can't shut off the voice. Anyway, what we will be discussing today is actually Bridgerton. We're not going to go play by play with what happened. It's not a Bridgerton review episode, though it could very well turn into that, but it's not that. We are trying to apply lessons from this season of Bridgerton to your video, your live stream, your content, and your business overall, right? But our specialty is video, live stream, and content. So that's what we're doing. But go ahead and take these lessons and apply it to your everyday life at will, okay? So we're going to start off with, let's actually start off with this. Shawana and I had a tete-a-tete offline right after we recorded a session, and we were like, we actually from talking about it is how we actually came to say we can get some lessons out of this, and hopefully you do. So the first thing is in terms of advocating for oneself, right? We talked about that. Can you expand a little bit further, please, for our gentle viewers?
Yes, I love it. And to not even give away for spoilers, even though the season is done. However, when you look at it, one of the things that I personally do when I watch or pause to look at TV for the sake of entertainment, because I am a creative, I always make sure that there's something that not only for laughter or entertainment, but that I learn something through that. And this season of watching Bridgerton, it was enlightening. And it also makes you kind of look at your life, or for some, look at the lives of people that are around them or closest to them. And in our conversation, it's like saying, what are the things that we saw, especially in these last episodes, that you're saying, no, that just doesn't sit well with me? Because all too often we go by what people tell us instead of what we know for ourselves, or allow ourselves to stand on business. Yeah, I want to get into that. Let's dive in.
And so when we talk about advocating for ourselves, let's introduce some of the characters. So this season brought in a new character, Sophie. And Sophie, her backstory, for those of you who haven't watched it, we won't spoil things, or maybe we will, then just don't watch Bridgerton, watch us. So Sophie is a new character, and she actually is a maid to another set of new characters. What is their last name? I'm trying to look now and see, and I can't find their last name, but it will come into me, and I will put it like at the bottom of the screen when I find it. But Sophie is the and I hate to say this, but illegitimate daughter of a nobleman. and the nobleman has married her mother passed away. And by the way, her mother was also a maid. So this is where we get the illegitimacy from. And I'm putting that in quotes. But the nobleman then went and married another person of station. And this after he then died. And when Sophie's father died, it was said that there was nothing left to her in the will. And so we see this whole not advocating for yourself. And as Shawana said, asking, but with rather than believing things that everyone says, find out for yourself, do your own research, right? So, but in terms of the advocacy, at one point, one of the, I won't get into the story, but one of the house staff of where Benedict Bridgerton was, when you watch, you'll see the whole thing, at the country house, said to her, you must remember your station, right? So basically know your place. So because she was so eager to remember her station and know her place, she did not advocate for herself, because from what we see, it feels as if speaking up and advocating for yourself would not be knowing her place. So I think that's part of the reason, even though it bothered me to no end, that's part of the reason that she did that. So now let's relay all of this that we're talking about to your videos, your live streams, your content, your business. You have to know when to speak up for yourself, whether it's pricing for your services. Sometimes we don't speak up for ourselves because why? We think that if we say this is the price, it's going to be too high and they won't want to use us. Well, then let them not use you. Let them eat cake, whatever flavor they like. Okay. Because you have to speak up and advocate for yourself. Or if you're in the situation and you've got clients and something is not going right, for example, they're asking for way more than what the contract says, obviously you know how to handle, or you can determine how you want to handle that situation, but speak up and say, I'm sorry, no, per our contract, XYZ. Now, again, it's on a case-by-case basis, but I would say overall, this is why you have contracts and contractual obligations and spell out everything there so you don't run into this. That can advocate for you. The fact that you have a contract will advocate for you. But even then, you still need to be a strong advocate for yourself in business and a strong advocate for yourself when it comes to doing the business of video and live stream. Anything to add, Shawana?
One of the things when you were saying to know your station, here is the thing for even new business owners, entrepreneurs. I can understand if when you start out at the one particular station, your pricing may be set because you're new, you're finding your way, you're filling yourself out. But as your business grow, as it expand, to know your station, there's buses and there's planes to take you from one station to the next. So we have to be okay to level up, right? Because that's what I said. This is about strategy. So it's not being okay to start from where you are. However, because of some people only used to seeing us in a certain station, they don't realize that there is much more to who we have become. And in some cases, unfortunately, some people don't even realize that they have more to offer. So they are stuck within themselves. And in this, if you don't get nothing else out of this, for me, it's all about courage and bravery, being able to step out and step on what it is that you know that you have, knowing your worth. So know that there are bus stations, there are stations everywhere. There is transportation to move you from one station to the next. So don't be so quick to say, I'm just going to listen at what the people say. So just remember that there are stations all over the world.
Absolutely. And you can up level your station, right? from the crummy little Beeline wherever to Grand Central Station. Okay, or 42nd Street. You can up level your station, definitely. So when I think about that, and you saying you can change your station, you can change the station in your business, the stage in your business.
Yes, I was going to say the stage. You just hit the word, because hey, because some people, your stage could be right in your home, right? But then you go, especially if you're a speaker, then you go on bigger stages. You have bigger audiences. You have bigger opportunity. And we have to be okay to walk in that and to know. That's why to know yourself, and not always, because environment play a big part for a lot of people. But then you have that one kid that you're saying, yeah, we came from down the way, but I noticed that I don't have to choose to stay down the way. I don't have to choose to even keep that mentality while I'm still down the way. And it all has to be within who we believe we are and tap into that inner self. And I know for some people, they don't know where to get it. They don't know where to get it from, but you have to say and believe there has to be more.
Yes.
There's more stations than this. This just doesn't feel right.
And this is the thing. This is for anything, especially in life. I think we're often afraid to change our station because as you level up, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
So think about the fact how people, okay, let's say it, tax season is about to be here. And people do not like to pay taxes. Nobody likes paying taxes. But the more you make, theoretically, the more you are supposed to pay in taxes. And I think that's sometimes what keeps people from leveling up because they don't want to pay more.
Yeah.
But I think that we have to have and then the same thing with, let's look at content, right? The more you level up, you may be okay with just doing a piece of content here and there and whatever, but then you're wanting more out of that. Well, that means you have to produce more. That means you need to respond to comments underneath the pieces of content, right? You need to be more active. So more is required of you if you're trying to get to a certain level. Maybe you want to be able to do brand deals and brand partnerships and sponsorships like some other content creators do. Well, number one, it took them a while probably to get to that point. But number two, they are working a lot. They are creating content quite a bit, and they're always on the go for these types of things. So if that's not what you want, you can't just sit back and let this happen, right? And I think that is the thing that makes some people afraid of trying to change stations, going to the next station, going to a station where they can transfer to something better, right? If we think about it as a train, these different train stations, let's just use the New York City subway. There are some stations that there's just a stop on the way. It's a local stop, local station only. But then there are some, like I mentioned Grand Central Station, where like almost all the lines come. Get to a Grand Central Station so that you can transfer to another train that will take you to a higher station. So.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, now that we're finished talking about transportation in that way, I want you to start us off on the conversation of the dusty old dresses. There's a lesson in this, I promise.
It definitely is. One of the scene was the fact of one of the maids who was in the household, and as a quote unquote gift, the young lady was requesting because other people were starting to get raises because she knows her worth. But sometimes when you've been working for someone for so long, you know that it's time for you to have an upgrade. You know that it's time for you to get an increase. How about that? We're going to say increase. And instead of the lady being okay to look at her finances to see where she could give her a wage increase, her thought was, I'll give her this gift. So she brought it in a beautiful package. How many times have we received something beautiful? A beautiful package, to not only open it up, but then to find out that it was several of her old, tired, worn out dresses. And she wanted to give that as a gift to her. So we need to talk about these dresses and what do people try to wrap up and give to us that they know that they no longer even want.
Come on.
You know, we're worth more. Yeah, let's talk about that. The dusty old dresses.
Raggedy, just raggedy. I was like, those are like 75 seasons out of style. And this is the thing, not to be sizist or whatever, but this woman was a little larger than the other one. So what did you want her to do with these dresses? What did you want her to pay to have them taken in? My dear, she's a house.
You gave her a hand-me-down.
Exactly. So
see, I was always taught, though, I'm going to tell you, I was always taught if you're going to give something away, it needs to be something that you know you actually still really want. How about that?
No, exactly. It's almost like, okay, we're in the Lenten season now. For those of you that are Christians, people are always like, what are you giving up for Lent? Oh, well, I'm giving up chocolate. No, you don't like chocolate. That's not what it's supposed to be, right? That is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be something of value so that it is actually something heartfelt. She didn't want these cast off dresses. So it was very easy for her to give them to her rather than giving her her worth. And that actually was indicative of how much she thought she was worth. Because if you thought this person was worth more, you would have given her something of more value. So now let's bring this here. Let me tell you a quick story. I had spoken at an event, and I spoke and I conducted like a kind of like a master class on content and social media and all of that. And this was for a place that was really for the community. So I was happy to come in and do it. And I really got great feedback after that. Well, it was so great that somebody went and told someone who was in charge of, I can't remember what, but at a local university here, they have like a business center. It's a college, not a university, but they have like a business center. And so they called me, and all of a sudden, they're like, listen, such and such came in and said, you did such an amazing job there, and we would love to have you come in. Oh, okay. She said, well, we can't pay you, but you can hand out all your business cards. In my head, I was like, stop right there, mon frere. Okay. Business cards for free do not pay the bills. And so it actually there's a culture of trying to get things for free. And this is a culture that we started. Now, certain things I feel are fine to do and should be free, but there's this culture. Number one, this place was not, it's a college. So that means it's not for profit, which means you should have a budget for the things that you want to do. If you don't have the budget, guess what? You don't do it that year. Number two, this was like downtown in Miami. So you want me to come to downtown Miami, no offer of paying for parking? Had you at least maybe said, you know what, we could give you some parking. We really don't have the budget for this right now, but it's like some parking and then work on an honorarium. Maybe I would have said yes, but the expectation that I would come for free? No. Who told you that? And why would I? Why should I come for you? I think these are the things you need to ask. So you have to act in such a way that people value you. So I said no. And I wasn't even going to go and try and find somebody else who would do it because I would not put that on them. So when it comes to these old dresses, you're trying to give me this old dress of exposure. How many times do we have this? Oh, the exposure. My dear, exposure doesn't pay bills, and I'm exposed. Overexposed at this point. So
you're helping them. A matter of fact, you're helping them because that was the whole thing. There was a crisis. People needed more help, right? And what anybody that watched the series, they know that having a number of maids, that's the thing. You had maids for everything,
right?
And there was a shortage, and so, in an effort to make sure that the people who work for you are satisfied, it's just the same thing with your team. You really should be touching base with your team, whether it's you, whether it's a VA, whomever that person is, to make sure that your team is happy, right? That everybody is joyful. So when there is a shortage, you're like, no, my folks, we're good over here because I actually take care of my people. So then when something happens, they're not running for the hills at the first opportunity for what is a better opportunity.
You should be that better opportunity.
Yeah, you should be. Yes, where they're like, no, I don't care what's going on out there. I'm comfortable right here. Right here is suiting my need. And because that's what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Because the thing is, there was a shortage, but think about the inconvenience of having to uproot yourself and acclimate yourself to a new family. You don't know how they behave. They could just be dragons in human form and you would never know, right? So it is a huge inconvenience for somebody that is staff to do that back then. So then it's not something people always want to do, right?
And here's the thing. She took I'll say the word, she took her for granted.
She did.
We have to be mindful as business owners, entrepreneurs. You don't even have to be a business owner. If anybody is assisting you with anything, we have to be mindful to not take people for granted. And that was also a clear case of her taking her for granted, because what is the one thing she said? Well, you're family. But so that just because you believe I'm family does not mean that I still have a value, I still have a worth to feel like, okay, if I'm family, then the family is around here rocking and looking swell. So even if you didn't give me an increase, then why don't I have new uniforms? Why do I not? There's other ways.
It is the equivalent of the office pizza party. So instead of giving people a raise, or instead of giving people bonuses, they're like, oh, next week we're having a pizza party. How much? And they probably use coupons too to purchase this pizza off of a corporate account. So it just the same thing of giving away something that doesn't cost you anything. That's what an office pizza party is. It costs nothing for them to do that, but show your appreciation in other ways, right?
20 years and you give me a pen.
Yeah, exactly. It's the equivalent. I mean, but that's a whole other type of greed that is present in that household as well. You don't want to give what that person is worth, so you give old clothes. So let me spin this around now. Let's talk about your video. What old clothes are you trying to pass off to the public? Are you doing your very best? Now, nobody's saying that you cannot repurpose your things. Absolutely. But are you just putting it out there again without making improvements, without making it relevant to what's going on? Or are you just plopping it up because you already have it? Those are those same raggedy old dresses. Same raggedy old dresses. Even if you put it and you have a new caption and you have new perspective, definitely do that. I'm all for repurposing content, but remix it. Do something different with it. Don't pass off your raggedy old dresses to us because you think that's all we're worth as viewers.
Hey, even if you're gonna, I do a bit of graphics. Even if you're gonna change the color scheme,
change the bloody color scheme.
You can keep the same cute photo. Change the background. There is a number of things you could do to refresh it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's the dresses situation. And I'm quite sure that you all, and if you have things that you would like to add to the conversation, I implore you to put them in the comments so that we can kind of respond to you with that. I'd love that. We'd love to start a deeper conversation about this. Okay, so off of old dresses, on to mistresses.
I love this. Oh, wait. Yes.
Let's talk about mistresses. Go ahead.
No, it's like you want to keep me hidden. When I think about mistresses, it's that person that is hidden, but then you still want to have fun with me. So it's like, what are you doing that you're hiding? And you know, if you really say you appreciate this thing, this person, you should be okay to bring them in the light, to allow them to show out, allow them to step out, allow them to show up and to be seen, allow them to be heard, to show that you really do appreciate who they are. So when people want us to then be the mistress, it's kind of like we're not white labeling, right? There's nothing wrong with white labeling, because of course we know back in those days, it was actually this thing that the men, they did have mistresses. It's just, you just never knew who they were. But what does that look like for us in our business when you're trying to hide a certain thing or a certain person? Or how about folks who actually take other people's things that's not even yours, and you're treating it like it's your own, and you're showing up as if it's the real wife? How about that?
Not the real wife. The real housewife, right? Of Bridgerton.
That would be hilarious.
Oh gosh, it's coming probably. Watch. Somebody will do a parody and that will be it. I think that would be brilliant. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming on this journey with Shawana and myself to talk about Bridgerton and how it's related to video, live stream, content, and business. Stay tuned because the second part will come up very soon. Cheers, guys.
We always He's here for you. He is so when you emotionally broke.